Hi everybody, you're very welcome to the National Botanic Gardens here in Dublin and to our series of gardening shorts videos. Today, because we're coming up to the end of January, it's the festival of Imbolg or St. Brigid's Day, so I wanted to show you how to make a St. Brigid's cross. So these crosses are traditionally made with soft rush or Juncus effusus, it's called in Latin, and this grows in any sort of boggy area or wet ground. So anyone who's living in rural areas would get their hands on this very easily because it grows nearly like a weed. But in the city, in Dublin particularly, it's very hard to find these rushes within your 5 kilometres. So the closest I got to it was a slightly different rush. It's called Juncus inflexus or hard rush. There's other alternatives though you could use. So if you have things in your garden, you might have some straw or some branches like these willow branches or other twigs that you could use. You could also use some arts and crafts materials. So we have this lovely colourful one made out of drinking straws. So we also love zero waste ideas in the botanic gardens as well. So this cross I made using just waste packaging material. It's like newsprint, and you roll it up into a taper, and then you can make your cross out of it too.
I'm going to very briefly here show you how to make a paper taper. I've started by folding my paper in half along the bias, so you want to be rolling towards a corner rather than towards an edge. And you start by putting a couple of neat tight little folds in your paper, and the tighter you roll it, the tighter you fold it and the tighter you roll it, the thinner your taper will be in the end. Just roll it up and then just get a little bit of sellotape to secure the ends, and your taper is ready.
So the only other things you need is scissors or secateurs, and then something to tie your ends. So I have gardening twine here, or elastic can help as well. So the first thing you need to do is collect 12 or 16 of the longest and strongest of the rushes that you have. You want them kind of similar widths as well. And what you need to do is just cut them to the desired length. So traditionally you pull the rushes rather than cutting them, so there might be some of the ends left. So we're going to cut off them, the sort of browny white bits. And then we cut them the other end just to where maybe the seed head is, or where they get a little bit too narrow. And then you have, so that's when you have your nice lengths.
And now we're ready to begin constructing our cross. You have your 2 first rushes, keep one upright, and with your left rush, fold it in half and fold it over your upright rush. Next, you turn your rushes to the left 90 degrees and you have an upright T. With your third rush, fold it in half again and fold it over your second rush towards the right. And again, turn 90 degrees. Your fourth rush, again, fold it from the left to the right. And at this stage, you'll have the 4 arms of your cross, and you'll start to see the square shape starting in the middle. So you continue like this, constantly turning your cross 90 degrees towards the left, and always putting your rushes, folding them over the last one from left towards the right. The cross is a representation of the sun and the growing light of the new spring. So the cross is woven from left to right after this movement of the sun, and it may be one of the origins for the cross. So as you build your cross up, you'll start to see the pattern of it emerging and the square in the centre there. The other thing is that you should, if you're making it properly, you should always be able to hold it with just one hand. That the previous rush that you folded over should be holding the rest of them in place pretty much. So if you keep with this formula, folding your rushes from left to right over your previous rush, and then turning your cross 90 degrees towards the left. Hopefully you shouldn't go too wrong. As we build up our crosses, it's nice to think about their origins. Imbolg was a time to celebrate the beginning of springtime and the Celtic goddess Brigid. So Brigid was the goddess of inspiration, of healing, of smithcraft, and associated with fire, the hearth, and poetry as well. And then when Ireland was Christianised, the mantle of the goddess Brigid was then passed on to Saint Brigid. And in doing so, the Goddess Brigid festival was Christianised to become St. Brigid's Day. The St. Brigid's cross is traditionally hung on the kitchen wall to protect the house from fire and from evil. Once the new cross is made, the old one can either be burnt in the fire or it can be buried in the field to assure good crops. We've now come to our 12th and final rush, and we're going to do something slightly different with it. So we take the outermost rush from the right hand arm of our cross and just lift it slightly to give a little loop where we can put the ends of our final rush in, and this helps to secure it. Next up, we're going to tie the ends so it doesn't fall apart. So I have gardening twine, but you can use elastic bands instead. So come out a little bit down the arm and tie it. Just make sure to tie it really tightly. As the cross dries over the year, it does loosen, so you want to make it really tight so it doesn't fall apart. Now we can tidy the excess from our knots and trim the ends of our arms of our cross. And now our cross is ready to protect our home for the coming year.
I really hope you enjoyed this video, and we'd love to see how you got on and what kind of creations you've come up with. You can put any photos in the comments below.